All right. Hello, everyone. We are the Patreon Shout team. My name is Christian, and my team members are Acer, Alex, and Jonah. So what is Patreon Shout? Patreon Shout is a website that gives content creators the ability to send Patreon posts automatically to most social platforms. This benefits the creators by improving outreach and reduces the difficulty many users have with navigating Patreon. Patreon Shout is also built around users who are not content creators, which we refer to as patrons. We've created a main feed that lets patrons see their followed creators all in one place in a Twitter-style feed. This allows patrons to see, save, and favorite the post of the Patreon creator that they follow. Patrons are also supplied with tools to sort and filter their feed to customize their experience. So moving on to our features. Our website is mobile compatible. It has cross-platform posting, which allows creators to automatically send Patreon posts to other social media sites. Our main feed allows patrons to keep track on the newest posts from the creators, and our list features allows patrons to customize their feed to only see specific posts. Now let's go over some of our architecture. Our website is built with React. We have also created a secure experience for the user and their password information via bcrypt and by having unique salts for each user ID inside our database. Our backend is run using Java and Spring Boot and Amazon Web Services relational database services. Our backend is deployed using Amazon Web Services Elastic Beanstalk, and our front end is deployed via Hostinger. Some of the challenges that we faced when learning new languages and technologies, as this was our first time using React, Spring Boot, and Amazon Web Services. It was also difficult for us to figure out with how each website's API worked. And one last big challenge for us was how restricted we were with deployment as a free Amazon Web Service user with limited computing resources. Our work resulted in a functional, responsive website, a social media account connecting that lets Patreon post to their selected social platforms, intuitive post filtering and sorting, easy to use navigation bar, and a list page to save your favorite Patreon posts. Now that we have given you a bit of background on what Patreon Shout is, I will pass it on to Acer, who is an online content creator that utilizes Patreon.
Yeah, so as a content creator, I want to spend my time doing what matters most to me, creating. It can be time-consuming making an effort reaching out, such as letting my followers know that I've published a new piece of content on social media, especially because I'm on multiple platforms. If YouTube can do it, why can't Patreon? I can utilize Patreon Shout to do my content's social media outreach by having the website make social media posts on my behalf with any of my new content pieces. So I'll load up Patreon Shout, and it's asking me to log in, so I will do just that. Now it's asking me to link my Patreon account. So I'll click the link, and I'm shown a list of things that Patreon Shout would like to access on my Patreon account. Everything looks good to me, so I'll just click allow. Great. It says that it's successfully linked, and I should just refresh the Patreon Shout page. So I'll do just that. Okay. So now that I have access to the website, my primary reason for being on this website as a content creator is to automate my follower outreach. Coincidentally, there's an outreach button on the left-hand side of the website, so I'll click that. The outreach page contains a multitude of social media platforms, and in my case, I'm interested in all of them. I can see that I have keywords I can use for the social integrations, so I'll just keep that in mind for later. But let's go from left to right and start at Discord. So Discord has 3 fields I can change: a Discord webhook URL, a public post, and a private post. As a content creator that uses Discord regularly for follower outreach, I know how to create a webhook URL. So I will go to my Discord server. I will right-click and edit the channel that I want my Patreon posts to go into. I will go to integrations, webhooks, and create a new webhook. So I've already done that, and I will simply just rename this to Biggie Wiggy, which is what my Patreon page is about. And I will copy the webhook URL, go to Patreon Shout, and sorry about that, and save. So I will refresh. I might have to log out and back in. Okay. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of an issue. Great. So now that I have my webhook URL saved into Discord, I think that's kind of it. So I'll move on to Twitter. So I'd also like to do outreach to my Twitter followers. So just like Discord, we have a public and a private post, except we, instead of a webhook URL, we have a connect to Twitter button. So I'll click the button. And since I'm already logged into Twitter, all I have to do is authorize Patreon Shout to be able to tweet on my behalf. So I will click authorize. Okay, so that is an issue, evidently, that we fixed. Authorize. Great. Flawlessly, Twitter was linked, and I can close this pop-up and refresh the Patreon Shout webpage. So I will do just that. Great. So I think at this point, my Twitter is fully linked up. So I think I can move on to Instagram. And okay, so as a content creator, this is my second bread and butter. So I definitely want to reach out to my Instagram followers to inform them of my new content. So once again, I'm greeted by similar options as Discord and Twitter, but now I have new options and some informational text. It seems that my Instagram account must be a business account, and I must have a Facebook account that contains a Facebook page with a linked Instagram. Since I'm an established creator already, I already have an Instagram business account that's connected to a Facebook account or a Facebook page. So I'll just click the connect button. I will continue, select my Instagram account, select my Facebook page, and I am greeted with a bunch of, I suppose, things that Patreon Shout would like authorization for. It's essentially asking to like see my Facebook page, things that belong to my Instagram business account, and to make posts on my behalf. So looks good to me. I'll click done, press OK. Looks good. Great. So I also am not completely finished. I kind of want to modify the output of this post a little bit. So let's see. We can see that my Instagram post will contain some blurred picture and contains my Patreon post's title. I can also modify the post's contents, the picture, and the color of the text overlaid on top of the blurred picture. So let me change the text color first. Give it some bluish hueish. Great. Okay, that looks like a nice shade, but I think it's a little hard to read because of the background picture. So I'm going to change it to something more relevant to my content. Picture of my cat. Okay, I kind of want a little more blur though, so I'll put it to like 64. Great, looks blurred. I'm liking this a lot, but I think I just want to kind of like change the text a little bit. I don't really care for a hashtag Patreon shout in my post, so I'm going to change that to Figgy Wiggy and hashtag cute cat. I will just save it. Looks good to me. So finally, I'll go to Reddit, and it seems I have the same options as Discord, except instead of a webhook URL, it's asking for a subreddit. So I'm content with how the post will look, but I do need to give it a subreddit. So I'll do testing Patreon shout and connect my Reddit account. I will allow it, Reddit linked, and I will save it. So now that everything is linked up, I'm going to make a Patreon post. And here is a picture of Figgy, and he was just assigned his Hogwarts house. So as a Slytherin, he looks a little unhappy. Typical Slytherin. So I will publish this post. Great. So it says my post is live. And if I go back, okay, it seems that there were some issues, but normally there would be a post in here that would show the text. As shown here, it would say the Patreon post title and then the text. Let's see if Discord or Twitter is any good. Okay, we seem to be having some issues in the back end. Let's see if Patreon shouts subreddit is any good. Okay, still a no-go. Still no-go there, but have one more method. The Hail Mary, the re-authentication. No Hail Mary here today, but assuming everything worked well for the demo, as a content creator, it's nice that I didn't have to do all of those things, like creating every single post for each social media platform. It's long, repetitive, boring work, but it's nice using Patreon Shout because I can customize it exactly how I want. Now, I'll throw it off to Alex, who can show you what Patreon Shout has to offer for individuals who prefer consuming Patreon media.
Hi. So as an avid Patreon user, I want to be able to find specific posts from my favorite content creators. But when I use Patreon to find a specific post, I have to scroll through every single post because I'm not sure when the exact post was actually published, and there's no searching or filtering to find any specific posts. I wonder if Chris can help me out. Oh, sweet. It seems like he has a website you can show me. Thanks. Let's try it out. Oh, cool. All the posts from my Patreon feed are here. Let's try and find a post from last week that has to do with chess. So the first thing I'm going to do is try and search up chess. Okay, that gives me a decent amount of posts, but it still doesn't filter it down enough. I seem to remember that the post was public, so let's try and add a public filter. That does it a little bit more, but still not enough. So now I remember that the post was made last week, so let's try and use the date range. Last week was about, oh wait, November, sorry. About here. And here we go. This is the post from last week. We can see it was in November 27th. And this is the post that I want. So I know this is the post that I want. And basically, now that I have it, I want to try and put a filter on it so I can always find it in the future. So I know that it has chess.com, and that's the reason why I wanted to find it. So let's add chess.com as a filter. Great. Now let's check if it works. And now every time I log back into the website, I can use this chess.com filter to find that post or any post that have chess.com inside of it. Now, let's say that I wanted to save a post almost just immediately. You can see right here, there's a heart, and I click this, we can save that post. So if we go to the lists page, we can go to favorites, and we can see that our post is in the favorites list. And if we go back and I want to make a new list to try and, let's say, put something that has to do with AI art, we can make a new list called AI art, my list, create, list is right there. We can go to home, search up AI, nothing yet. How about art? Starving artist, private. This took me 3 whole weeks. Please support. Let's check out the post. Give it a second. There's a picture. Okay, cool. I guess we like this post. So let's add this to the AI art list. List successfully edited. We can go back to the list, and if we want to find that post again, it's in this list. So now Jonah will show you how Patreon Shout can be useful for users who don't have to interact with Patreon.
So I'm not very interested in using Patreon itself or any other new technologies. I'm a bare bones guy and I like Discord. So 2 of my favorite content creators are only on Patreon. Could Patreon Shout help me too? Oh, it seems like 2 of my favorite content creators are giving live updates on Discord now? When did that happen? I can just use Discord to circumvent Patreon altogether, and if I follow these 2 creators and send them to my channel, then when they make a new post, I should be able to see it. Oh, look at that. A new one just came up. Thanks, Patreon Shout. We're waiting on one more, but it might not load if we're having back-end issues. So as you can see, Patreon Shout is useful for creators who want to automate their outreach process, patrons who want a better user experience, and even users who don't touch Patreon. Thanks for your time, and I'd like to open the floor for questions. There we go. It's a little late there, but now chat's up.
Awesome job. For the audience, just for context, all of the demos that you're going to be seeing today are all live. There's no pre-recordings. Everything has to work, which is obviously rather stressful with projects that are done in around. We've started in August with the inception phase, coding around the end of August until now. So it's a lot of, obviously it's a lot of work and maintenance. So with that, sort of a similar question to earlier, what was the most challenging thing, and what's happening, or what could be happening with the back end that's preventing the messages from sending?
So I guess I can chime in a little bit. For the hardest thing is understanding other websites' API. Websites like Reddit and Twitter, I think, were fairly easy. Ironically, Patreon's was actually the hardest because of lack of documentation. It's actively changing, so if there is documentation, it's outdated. It's just a lot of like learn as you go. As for the backend issues, I think we just have some front end or back end issues storing a user token. But it seems that with the initial demo, there was just a little bit of a delay. It might have just been like an AWS hiccup because I checked my Discord, my Twitter, my Reddit, and my Instagram, and they all actually did post. It just took like a minute or two. But
okay.
I mean, it's here. The contents, the post, the Thingy Wiki Cute Cat.
Which is awesome, by the way. Yeah, I like that. That's sort of the trouble with live demos, is that if your system is it still got the job done, it just didn't happen right when you expected it to on stage. It happens. So but great job with avoiding that pressure.
Do
So
you mind
does
showing all those? Sorry, just so that you guys can see, all of them do come up.
Yeah, so this is
Just
Discord. This is Twitter.
Nice.
And a little bare bones because of Reddit, text-based, but this is Reddit.
Nice. How challenging would it be to add another content provider or social media, like a new up-and-comers, Mastodon? We're probably going to see more crop up in the future. What's the most challenging aspect of adding a new integration to this project?
So specifically for Mastodon, we looked at it, and it's a little bit different from how like all the other social platforms that we have kind of work, because it's I haven't looked like super far into it, but it's more like user sort of like decentralized stuff like that, where it's more like, oh, it's sort of like a like they have their own like Twitter feeds almost, and then you sort of like can post to a different Twitter feed. But like with the ones that we have, it's more like, oh, we have one centralized thing and we sort of ship it to that. It might be a little bit harder to do something like Mastodon, but for specifically other like social platforms, it isn't like the absolute worst. Of course, for things like Instagram, there are always like problems like the business accounts. But I think it really just depends on which social platform that we want to put it out to. Okay.
All right. Well, I do want to stay on the schedule, but I don't want to not have the audience be able to ask questions. So are there any questions from the audience and class? Well, really fantastic job, guys. This project it looks so much different than how it was before. So it's just it's like revisiting something. It's really awesome. So great job. We're going to move on to CollabiBot. If you do have questions or want to install this app, how would anyone reach out to you? I guess that would be my final thing.
We can
I
post the
can.
link in the.
Yes. Here. If you want to try it
Would-
out, go to that link, register, sign up. And
Just fair
good
warning,
luck.
you're gonna have to create Patreon as well.
Yeah, you have to make sure you make a Patreon account. I think with Patreon, they force you to sort of make like a campaign almost, but you have to like publish it. And then you sort of like link the two together.
All right. Well, that's awesome. All right, let's give it up to CollabiBot.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Let me open this.